free world.
Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up.
Welcome. This is Hell to the Culture. I am your boy Rome. I'm here with my man Bryce. We're back after our brief hiatus to give you guys this Redskin news, the state of the culture. Give you guys this Redskin culture. Bryce, say what's up, man. Let the people know what's going on.
Redskins Nation, what up, man? We're back once again, and it's Dallas week. If you're not hyped, there's something wrong with you, because I know I'm hyped, and I can't wait for this game. And let's jump into it, man.
Dallas on Thanksgiving, man. If that don't get your blood going, nothing will. All right, so we got a lot to talk about, man. We've missed a couple weeks here, so we're gonna dive into the biggest news in Redskins Nation, and that's the Alex Smith injury. It was pretty gruesome. It happened 33 years to the day of Joe Theismann's injury. So for all the Redskins fans, the older fans that you witnessed that and then saw this, I'm sure that brought up a lot of memories. Bryce, how did you feel about the injury when you were watching it?
Man, well, the injury kind of like a lot of times when I'm watching these plays, I'm kind of watching a lot of aspects of the play. So I don't think it was free. I think it was Byron Marshall was the running back at the time. And when the free rusher came and Byron Marshall didn't pick him up, I instantly knew that, something had gone wrong. And this is not to blame Byron Marshall. I mean, don't get me wrong. This guy was fresh off the injury heap. He was just hurt. He's fresh in the game. So, he just missed an assignment, which happens in football. The crazy thing is Alex turned and immediately knew what was happening, too. If you go back to the play, Alex, it's almost like he turned and kind of surrendered just a little bit. He knew the sack was impending, but as soon as I saw it happen, man, I knew it was serious. At first, I thought it was a dislocated ankle. To be honest, I was sure it was an ankle. So when it came back that it was his leg, man, I was heartbroken for Alex, man, because I was in the thought pool that he was just starting to really get it going and really catch a rhythm in the offense. Yeah,
man, it was a pretty crushing loss. I was watching the game with my son and a few other Skins fans. My son actually cried a little bit because he's been so hype on Alex Smith. And as you know, I've been supporting Alex Smith this whole season, been saying he's going to turn it around. And I do think he is starting to turn the corner and get the passing game moving a little bit. But, yeah, man, it's a devastating injury. And I know it's the quarterback position, so it means a little bit more. But like every other position in football, it's always next man up. So, prayers to Alex Smith. His recovery time is 6 to 8 months. Hopefully everything goes well with him. But we got a game tomorrow. And Colt McCoy has been in this offense for 4 years, and he's got to be ready to start against Dallas to win the NFC East tomorrow. So this is big for Colt McCoy, man. This is a huge opportunity for him to prove his worth. I think he can do it. I believe in Colt McCoy for this game in Dallas on a short week. He's been in this offense for 4 years. Jay Gruden loves him. What are your thoughts on Colt, man? Because I actually have a lot of thoughts on Colt.
Oh, nah, man, most definitely. I mean, Colt McCoy, this is his fourth year in the same offense. From all accounts, this is his healthiest year in the NFL. That's probably been the biggest thing about Colt McCoy. It has been his injury history. I think that's probably the thing I'm worried about the most going forward with Colt. We'll obviously get into Colt's backup now in a minute. But just to stick on McCoy, I definitely think that we'll see an offensive improvement with McCoy. I do think that he's a better fit for the offense right now, mainly because he knows it and he knows where to go with the football. As evident on the Jordan Reed touchdown. I mean, his first passing attempt on the season, and McCoy finds Jordan Reed for a touchdown. But if you watch his decision-making process on that play, it was one look off and right to Reed. He knew exactly where he was going. As soon as he saw how the defense was defending the play, he knew exactly where to go. I think Alex was missing that just a little bit. And it's just because it was taking him a little more time to get comfortable. Look back at Alex in Kansas City. it took him time to get comfortable. It was taking him time to get comfortable here. And Colt is not going to have to worry about that at all. He's coming in. He's comfortable. Guys like Jordan Reed, I mean, he hasn't got the most reps with him, but he's been around him for 4 years, you know. So Colt's going to be able to get the ball in those guys' hands. A guy like Josh Doctson has got a lot of reps with Colt in his time. So they're going to be able to get the ball in that guy's hands. It remains to be seen how successful they can be. But I definitely think we'll see an uptick in offensive production, especially in the passing game.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. I wrote a piece about it on the website. McCoy, he's spent a lot of time with Mo Harris, who's getting a lot of playing time now. He's been on the team for 4 years, so he's thrown to Doctson, thrown to Reed, like you were saying. And, yeah, man, I think the key will be that he'll be more efficient. He'll get the ball out a little bit quicker. He'll know exactly where to go, like you were saying. I don't know if the offense will be better. I don't know if better is the right word, but I'll definitely go with efficient. And you mentioned it.
That's facts. That's facts. Adding on one thing, all Redskins fans will remember this. In 2014, Colt started against the Cowboys and got the W for us. And you know, his starting role was short-lived because he did get an injury. So the job went back to RG and then eventually to Kirk Cousins, who never looked back. But I mean, Colt has some history with the Skins against the Cowboys, you know, and I do like our chances because of that, just because of the fact that Colt has beat them before, and that we're definitely it's gonna be tough for these teams to game plan for Colt, right? Because for 9 weeks or 10 weeks of film, we were one team. We've been the same team for 10 weeks. We've been this team that's going to dominate the ball. We're going to play tough defense. We're going to run it down your throat, and we're going to try to control time of possession. We're not going to turn it over. Well, now with Colt McCoy, honestly, we're really going to be a whole new offense. You know what I mean? And people will see on Thanksgiving. We're going to be an entirely new offense, and it's going to be tough for teams to scheme against that, especially in the first few games. So I'm hoping for big things.
Yeah, I think people are sleeping a little bit on McCoy also, just because he's the backup. I'm kind of bullish on him, man. Like, depending, I want to see him play against Dallas. I really like our chances this Thursday night. But moving forward, man, Colt could steal this job, really. I mean, there's a good amount of people that thought he was going to get an opportunity once Kirk left. And Jay Gruden has always been high on Colt McCoy, so we will see what happens. But you mentioned it a few minutes ago on his backup and his injury history. Now, this is what makes me nervous about Colt McCoy for the rest of the season. I mentioned it before we started recording. Colt McCoy has a terrible injury history. Like, I don't think, like you just said, like the few chances he did get to start for the Redskins, he only lost the starting opportunity or the starting job due to injury. So the question now becomes, can he last 6 games in the NFL? Can he finish out this 6-game stretch? Because if he doesn't, the new backup in town is one Mark Sanchez. And I will be the first to tell you, if Mark Sanchez plays one down, and it's to do anything other than kneel the ball, it's a wrap. It's done. I don't want him handing it off to nobody. I don't want him throwing a screen pass, throwing a 5-yard pass. I don't want him doing anything. Colt McCoy's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay upright.
Yeah, man. I couldn't agree with that. I couldn't agree with that more. When I saw that Mark Sanchez was the chosen backup quarterback, I mean, I was hurt. Mainly because, we all know the history. We know the butt fumble. We know all the mishaps. And to me, Sanchez was the worst of a whole lot of terrible options, but he was the worst of those options. Like, when I read those names, I saw guys like E.J. Manuel, Kellen Clemens, who was another guy? Even T.J. Yates. Even T.J. Yates. And I looked at this list, and I said, wow, Mark Sanchez is the one guy I would not want. And, sure enough, Mark Sanchez ended up being the guy we went with, mainly because of his history with some of our coaches. Some of them coached him when he was with the Jets. They kind of know that he'll be able to grasp the system fast. And at the end of the day, that's really what's going to matter. It's not going to matter how good the quarterback is, per se. It's really going to matter how quick can he come in and learn, because we're already a train that's already rolling. We've got 52 other guys that already know this playbook. So you're going to have to be able to pick it up faster, much faster than normal. Luckily for us, because, most teams, if their starting quarterback goes down, I mean, that's your season right there. I mean, that's probably maybe like 25 teams in the NFL. If their starting quarterback goes down, you can pretty much say your season's over. And luckily for us, we're one of those teams that if our starter goes down, we've got a guy like Colt where, fan base and players alike can rally around and feel like, the offense will be even better with our backup. That's a rare thing to have.
Yeah, I mean, that's truly, truly how I feel, man. And that's no shade to Alex, but he hasn't, if you look at the season, he hasn't carried this team. He hasn't been throwing 4 touchdowns. Really all he's done is not turn the ball over. And if Colt can do that, stay healthy and not turn the ball over, then we will at least be what we've already been this season. And I honestly think that Colt will take a little bit more chances downfield and be a little bit more efficient with the ball. And I think we'll end up being better on offense, well, more efficient on offense, I should say. One other thing I wanted to get into was Jay Gruden's job security. So there's a lot of scenarios that could play out here. I feel like both of us right now are on the optimistic side of Colt McCoy will likely play pretty well, and we'll still have a pretty good chance of making the playoffs. Let's go on the pessimistic side for a second. Let's say Colt McCoy is what the national media, national fans think he is, and he's just another guy backing up by another backup quarterback, and we're done. And we go 6-10. We don't win another game. Is Gruden our quarterback or is Gruden our coach in 2019?
That's a good question. I mean, I look at it like this. If you look at the season as a whole, especially starting from the offseason, I don't think that Alex Smith was Gruden's choice. I think that was something that Bruce Allen kind of came up with and just threw on Gruden and said, hey, here's your quarterback. And in my opinion, Gruden took lemons and made lemonade. I mean, he came up with this new identity for the team. We're a team we're predicated on the run. We're a whole, he's engineered a whole new offense than what he's used to. And to me, that shows me something from your head coach if that's willing to do that and has that type of foresight. So, and even if you look at some of these games, some of our losses, the Saints lost, they're blowing everybody out. So, I mean, I really wouldn't count that. The Colts, that was an early season game, and that was a tough loss. But look at this last Texans L. I mean, honestly, we're pass interference away from kicking a field goal and winning that game after our starting quarterback gets hurt and after being down big. And you knew what our history was, Rome. We were not coming back from anything this year. If the team got a lead on us, that's the ball game. In this last game, we showed some fight from down. We showed some real fight from behind. And, that can only be attributed to Jay Gruden, in my opinion. To me, if the Skins get rid of Jay Gruden after this season, don't get me wrong, there's some seasons that it could have been justified. But if they were to get rid of Jay Gruden after this season, no matter how it turns out with the Alex Smith injury, with the multitude of injuries on the offensive line, if they were to get rid of Jay Gruden after this season, it would be a huge, huge mistake. So I personally would like to think that Jay Gruden's job is safe. But, of course, with the Skins, man, you never know. In the 6-10 season, you might see Dan Snyder pull the trigger on Gruden's job. And to me, that would be a big mistake.
Yeah, you had a lot of good points there. The first point I want to address is the point of him changing his offense around. Jay Gruden has never been known to be a run-first kind of offense, and this has been a kind of a run-dominant offense or it's based off the run. And I, for one, never saw that coming from Jay Gruden, so I will give him a lot of credit on that for changing up his offense. I want to say if we lose the rest of the games, depending on how competitive they are, if they're competitive, I don't think Gruden loses his job. I think it'll just be hung up on losing Alex Smith. If Colt McCoy goes down, there's no way Gruden loses his job. I think if we're competitive but go 8-8, 9-7, and fail to make the playoffs, I don't think he loses his job, but I do think that puts him on the hot seat for next season, because it's been too many mediocre 7-9, 8-8, 9-7 seasons. Gruden needs a 10-win season under his belt and at least a playoff appearance. But I do think the injuries give him a little bit more leeway, especially the Alex Smith one. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our next little topic. Like we've been saying, this is a huge game on Thursday. Skins are 6-4. Dallas is 5-5. If Dallas wins, we'd split in the division with them, and we'd be tied in the NFC East, making the last 5 games very critical. So, in your opinion, Bryce, what would a win do for us?
Well, a win for us, man, puts us primed to win the division. I mean, if you tell me the Redskins win on Thanksgiving, I'm going to tell you that we have a 75%, 80% chance to win the division and then go to the playoffs. A loss, and you just open yourself for a ton of possibilities. A loss, and you're looking at a possible spiral. You're looking at if we come on and lose to the Cowboys, in my opinion, man, you're just looking at a huge turnaround after being 6-3. You know, you're officially on a losing streak, and it's just something that really at this point really can't happen. I got faith that we'll come out and get the win, but I do think that a loss means a lot more than a win would mean. A win means it just increases our chances that much more of winning the division. But a loss to me just opens up so many possibilities because now you got the Eagles there, you got the Cowboys with a ton of confidence, and now you completely change fortunes from a position where it looked like you might just coast to the division to now where it's like you've got a backup quarterback and you're on a losing streak. So.
Yeah, man. I tend to agree with that. I feel like a loss to Dallas on Thursday night makes the Monday night game against Philadelphia that much more important. And a loss, and that's a road game in Philadelphia also, a loss there. If we were to lose these next two games, then I would definitely think that we're on a downward spiral, which is why I brought up the Jay Gruden job security thing. But a win here will keep Dallas off of our ass, for lack of a better term, by another game. And the Eagles have a pretty favorable schedule, other than they have one road game against the Rams. Now, I'm gonna say that that's a guaranteed loss for the Eagles, so they're only gonna have seven losses, meaning the best that they could do is have 9 wins. So I think if we can find a way to win 4 of the next 6 games, if we can go 4-2 over the next 6 games, then the division is a wrap. It's ours, especially if we beat Dallas. If we beat Dallas, we'll have the tiebreaker over them, so that'll take care of Dallas, and the best they'll be able to do is 10 wins. And then as long as we beat Philly once, if we win these next 2 games, we win the division, essentially. I'm looking at it right now. It's right in front of my face. If we can win these next 2 games, I would say the division is a complete wrap. So a win on Thursday night means we're 1 win away from the division, from having the NFC East. That's what it means.
Yeah, especially considering that the Cowboys still have the Saints to play, if I'm correct, right? So they're still going to deal with that offense.
But I believe they do. So I don't think
they still have to deal with that Saints offense. So I mean, you know, they'll still have a challenging road, and they still got the Eagles again. You know, they still got to play the Bucks. That's always going to be a tough game, especially with a team like Dallas that doesn't put up a lot of points. So their schedule is not easy going forward. You know what I mean? If you beat them here, you kind of just tell them that, you know, look, Dallas, good try, but this is not your year. And with a loss, though, yeah.
I would even go as far as to say that this game is bigger for Dallas than it is for Washington. Like, we're still in the driver's seat. If a loss will definitely hurt, but if like you say, they got the Saints. I don't think Dallas or Philly is going to win more than 9 games this year. So if we can win 4 of our next 6, I think it's a wrap. And if we win these next 2, I think it's a wrap. So I mean, I think we're still looking good. I think Colt McCoy's just got to stay healthy. And speaking of health, we've been talking a lot about the Alex Smith injury. We have a ton of other injuries that we should get into, but there is some good news. The Skins just released their injury report a little while ago, about an hour or so ago, and the only person listed as out is Chris Thompson. So Chris Thompson being out obviously hurts because he's probably one of our most dangerous playmakers, not named Jordan Reed. But the good news on this is that Quentin Dunbar is questionable. He's been listed as a limited participant in practice all week. So hopefully he can be out there. That will strengthen up the defense even more. And Jamison Crowder is surprisingly listed as questionable on this. He hasn't practiced in weeks, and I personally would be kind of surprised to see him play. But the fact that he's listed as questionable and not out or doubtful is a very good sign. And Trent Williams Trent Williams is playing. He's not even listed as questionable or nothing, so I expect to see him out there. So, I mean, we do have some banged-up guys, but we do got a good amount of guys also coming back. So this game is looking better than I think most people are realizing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely surprised about Trent, but then again, I'm not surprised about Trent. I'm surprised about Trent because of the type of injury he has, but I'm not surprised because of the type of warrior he is. Dunbar is still a little concerning with the questionable. Man, that nerve issue has been a real problem for him, man. I wish him the best in recovery, but it's been a tough loss for the team because Strowman didn't have the best game once again last week, and we need Dunny. We need Dunny back in there. So, yeah, Chris Thompson, not having Chris, that's tough, but that was kind of to be expected. I would rather Chris rest up for these later games, so we're going to need Chris down the line. And if we are to make it to the playoffs, we've got to have Chris Thompson in the lineup. So let's definitely take care of Chris.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. He's going to be a huge X factor in a playoff game, so I'd rather have him healthy in December than now. Let's go ahead and jump into a little NFC East roundup, man. So Philly just suffered another loss to, as we all know, and it was a pretty bad one. All their players are throwing their helmets and flipping people off. So, I mean, are they done, man? Should we even be worried about the Eagles at this point?
Well, the Eagles, they're, you know what, Rome? Their future, believe it or not, is actually dependent on tomorrow's game. The Eagles' future is dependent on tomorrow's game just as much as the Cowboys. If the Cowboys somehow defeat the Redskins tomorrow, that leaves the Eagles with a pretty decent shot to win the division. Considering they still see the Cowboys once, and they would have the Redskins twice still. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, man. The Eagles are done if we beat the Cowboys tomorrow. The Eagles are done.
Yeah, I would agree with that, man. I would go as far as to say that they're just done. I don't see them. I'm gonna be honest. I think the Giants are gonna upset them this weekend. I feel like the Eagles, the Super Bowl hangover is so real with the Eagles right now. They're pointing fingers. I hear a bunch of guys saying that they're not accountable. People aren't holding each other accountable over there, and all this. The Super Bowl hangover is too real for the Eagles. And I said that they would hit the hangover. I didn't think that it would be this hard, but they might wind up being last in the NFC East after winning the Super Bowl. And I say that because I know you laughed at it in our little production meeting, but Odell mentioned the Giants running the table. Now, I don't know if they can run the table completely. I haven't looked at their schedule, but I do like their chances this Sunday. And, yeah, man, what do you think? Do you think Odell is just completely tripping? He's just off the wall? Or is there a little bit of truth to that?
Oh, no, there's no truth in them running the table. That's definitely not. I mean, for them to run the table, they would have to beat us again. I don't see that happening. But yeah, no, they're not running any tables. Hopefully, Odell doesn't run into a table the same way he ran into that net that time. What I would say though is, man, and this is based off their last win against the Bucks. I was impressed, man. I was impressed with that win. Namely because the Buccaneers have a high-powered offense, and they're going to put up points. And even though they switch quarterbacks mid-game once again, they put up 35 points. And the Giants managed to put up 38. And Eli, that was without Eli going to Odell Beckham for 100 yards, 150 yards. They wasn't even in that way. They played pretty good D when it mattered, and it was a Saquon Barkley show. And they used him and they used him the right way on the ground, which I've kind of yet to see this season. But I mean, I kind of look at the Giants like a sleeping giant. Like, they're like a piece away. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is exactly, but they've got the weapons over there to be a great team. They're just missing something. They're missing that sauce. You know what I mean? They're missing that sauce. Mm-hmm. And I don't see them going on. I don't see them running the table, winning 7 straight from here on out, 6 straight. I just don't see it happen. But if somehow the Eagles finish below the Giants, man, that would be an epic collapse on the hands of the Eagles.
Yeah, man. So that brings me to the power rankings, man. We've been gone for a couple weeks. You wanna let these guys know how you're ranking the East. Are you still putting Washington in that number one spot, even with the loss of Smith?
I still got Washington number one. And that's based off the fact that I do think Colt McCoy is going to come in and improve the offense. And that's not just a thought. I mean, he actually came in and provided an instant offensive jolt into that game with the 14 they put on the board, 17, matter of fact, on the hands of Colt. So I do think that Washington's still number one in the NFC East, power ranking-wise. Number two, I've got the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, right? I mean, the Cowboys balled out. Something that's especially considering who they beat. But something that's been impressive with the Cowboys is over these last two games, and since they've gotten Amari Cooper, they've been averaging over 50% on third down conversions. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the addition of Amari Cooper has made that offense more efficient. They're able to, get those third down conversions to a guy like Cole Beasley because the defense is paying attention to Amari Cooper. You know what I mean? So for that, Dallas is definitely number two. And this game on Thanksgiving will decide the NFC East, number one spot in the rankings. Number three, I still got the Eagles, man. The Eagles lost. The Eagles would with that loss, the Eagles hold their own destiny, and that scares me. But they're still number three despite their recent failures. And then New York Giants number four. I will say if the Giants run the table, they might just end up number one.
Are there any chance that the Giants get out of the bottom of the cellar, even if they don't run the table?
Oh, nah, I don't see it. Even if they don't run the table, man, I just don't see them finishing ahead of the Eagles. But it could happen, man. I've been wrong before. I guess this game this weekend will really decide it because if the Giants beat the Eagles this weekend, they'll have the exact same record, which is crazy.
Which is crazy to think about considering all that's gone down, especially how terrible the Giants were when they started. But let's go ahead and jump back into this Thanksgiving matchup real quick. What is the key matchup that you're going to be looking at in this game?
Well, my key matchup, I'll be looking at the offensive line of the Washington Redskins. Not only versus in pass protection, but also in run blocking. You got to keep Colt McCoy upright. Colt can improvise a little bit, and the offensive line has to be prepared for that. They've got to understand who their quarterback is. He's a little more different than Alex. Colt will extend plays. Alex extends plays, but he usually is moving side to side. Colt will extend plays moving backwards. That means the offensive line, and they've really got to – if he's moving backwards in the pocket more, you've got to stay on your block as long as possible. You've got to see the play all the way through. I've got hope for it happening, but that's definitely my matchup. And so we need a big day from AP too. We still got to stay balanced. If this passing attack improves with Colt McCoy, and for some reason our running attack just goes out the window, then it kind of cancels each other out. We need both of them humming. Mm-hmm. So hopefully the offensive line answers the call.
Yeah, man, and I'm going to go on the other side of the ball, keep it with the linemen. I'm going to say our front seven versus their O-line and Zeke is the key matchup. The last time we met up with them, we dominated. We held Zeke to, I want to say, 30-some yards? It was his worst professional game. It was his worst game this season for sure, and I want to say it was his worst game since, the Broncos game a couple years back. But recently, the last few weeks, Washington hasn't been as stout up against the run. They need to get back to dominating against the run because that's how you stop Dallas. Amari Cooper is a new addition that they're going to have to keep an eye on for sure, and he is going to create matchup problems. But Dallas' bread and butter is handing it to Zeke, and if you can stop that and force it into Dak's hands, that's the best way to beat them. That's still the formula, and they got to stick to it. You got any other matchups or any key things you want to talk about for this game before we keep it moving?
Well, yeah, man. I'm interested to see if Josh Norman will be following Amari Cooper, especially considering that Dunny's questionable. Chances are he won't play with the questionable tag. If we gotta rely on a guy like Stroman or Moreau on the outside, I'm interested to see how they fare against Amari Cooper and if Josh Norman would be the one traveling with him from side to side, either side.
I'm interested to see that too. The last time Norman and Cooper matched up, I want to say it was last year when we played the Raiders. Cooper had 1 catch for 8 yards, I believe. So I like our chances if that is the case. Really, I think the bigger matchup is going to be back, like we said our last preview before we played the Cowboys. I think you mentioned it was Fabian Moreau on Cole Beasley. That's going to be another key matchup to keep an eye on as well. All right, there's a couple more topics we wanted to get to before we get out of here. There was a wild game on Monday night, man. I'm sure everyone has saw that or at least heard about it by now if you didn't get to watch it. Highest point scored on Monday Night Football history. Mahomes threw another 6 touchdowns. Man, what are your thoughts on that crazy game?
Well, first thought is if you didn't get to watch it, I feel sorry for you because you missed out. That game was crazy, man. Like, that's game of the year, no question. No question, game of the year. I mean, one thing I say, and Rome, you pointed this out to me, man. Football is changing. Football is changing. 50 to 50, you know, I know, it wasn't 50-50, but 2 teams putting up over 50 in the National Football League, man, it just didn't happen when I was coming up. If a team put up 50, that means the other team had like 10. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's just crazy to think that the NFL is going to that, like, Big Ten, Pac-10 football style. You know, it's wild to think. But, you know, it's cool to watch. It's cool to watch. It's fun to watch. I miss defense, though. I'm going to make some T-shirts that say, bring back defense.
Make defenses great again, man. Like, what the hell is going on out here?
Make defense great again, yo. That's the campaign, man.
Yeah, man. It was a great game. I loved it. But I'm old school, dude. Like, I would enjoy a 10-3 battle. I loved watching us beat. What was the game we won 16-3? Was that was Tampa, right? I love watching those games. I'm a defensive guy, but don't get me wrong, man. Like, that's entertaining. Seeing the back and forth points, seeing all the touchdowns. Like, I love that just as much as the next guy. But I do prefer a little bit more defense. But there was some defense in that game. Aaron Donald, yeah, man, they had some nice plays, man. That game had a little bit of everything, honestly. And I want to say it was the first time in NFL history that a team scored 50 points and still lost the game. Like, I don't think that's ever happened before. So, yeah, man, that was a crazy game. So, yeah, I have one more question for you before we get out of here, too, man. There's a big game, Panthers-Seahawks, and I want to tie this into a little bit of Redskin talk also. So, we've been talking a lot about winning the division, and I believe that's our best chance to get into the playoffs. But I was looking at it a little bit earlier. For a while, I was thinking there was no chance we get a wild card spot. With the Vikings and the Packers having that tie and both only having about 5 wins, if we were to have to try to fight for a wild card spot, we do have a tiebreaker over the Panthers, who currently hold the tiebreaker or who currently hold the wild card spot. So this weekend, the Panthers are playing the Seahawks, which is a pretty big game for Redskin fans to keep an eye on because we could be competing with one of these 2 teams for a wild card spot. But the question I have for you, Bryce, is if you were starting a franchise, which quarterback would you take, Russell Wilson or Cam Newton?
Yeah, man, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. And some might look at it like, what do you like, individual awards or do you like championships? Because obviously Russell's got a championship and Cam has got an MVP. It's a toss-up, man. I'd probably lean to Cam Newton a little bit just because I feel like he's done more with less in his career. I mean, Cam, don't get me wrong, Cam played with some pretty good players. You know, Greg Olson's definitely a possible Hall of Famer. Steve Smith, future HOF. But at the same time, man, like Cam Newton really hasn't had, in my opinion, everything that Russell Wilson has. Now, maybe he's on the way to that. You know, a guy like Christian McCaffrey seems to be a dynamic talent. But with Cam Newton, to me, you can just stick him on the field with you know, some regular guys, man. He can go ahead and get you a win somehow, some way. So I'd probably go with Cam Newton. How about you?
This is a very tough one for me, man, because like I love Cam Newton, bro. Like Auburn, like I'm all about Cam Newton from day one, man. And then but it's like, how do you pick against Russell Wilson, man? Because like they're so similar because they both had great defenses, both haven't had the best receivers, but haven't had horrible ones. Yeah, man, it's splitting hairs. I'm going to go with Cam, though. I'm going to go with Cam because, like you say, he's just the kind of player where it's like I feel like if the Panthers had a bunch of injuries, they could call me and you and be like, yo, we need y'all to run a 5 route, run a 9 route, and Cam's going to make something happen. I would just have faith that Cam could win with us on the field. Like, that's how much of a factor he has. But
yeah, man.
It is
that's it. That's really it right there, yo. That's really how I feel too, bro. Like, it just seems like Cam can just go out there with anybody, man.
Yeah, like he just got that it factor, man. And watching him at Auburn in college and stuff is just like I've seen him pretty much do that where the team's down. I want to say it was against Georgia or someone. They were down like 20-some points in the first quarter. He brings them back, just running around by himself, basically. So, I mean, yeah, I'll go with Cam, but I got to give some love to Russell Wilson, man, because he has a lot of that too. And he's very smart with the football, doesn't make any bad decisions. Russell Wilson to me is like a mix between Cam and Alex Smith. He's got that ability to take off and run and all that, but he won't turn it over in the same vein. I like that a lot. But, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for today, man. You got any final thoughts? Do you want to get out before this Thanksgiving game?
Man, I do. I got a few, man. First I want to start with Redskins Nation. Redskins Nation, we showed out. We showed out after the team called us out. You know what I mean? We showed out and we showed up last game against the Texans and FedEx, man. And, like, I know that a lot of those questions were raised about the Redskins fan base, but what the team needs to understand and what the nation needs to understand is the Redskins, especially in the area as well as outside the area, we have one of the strongest, proudest fan bases of all time. The biggest problem is for years we were told that the way that we affect change within our fan base is to hit our owner in his pockets. That's what fans are finally doing. Fans aren't not showing up to the game because they don't like the Skins. I guarantee you 99% of those fans that aren't showing up to the games anymore are still on their couch watching the games. Fans aren't showing up to the games, so they're not going to support the owner, Dan Snyder. Now, is that a good way to go about it? Maybe not. I still go to the games. You know, don't get me wrong. I don't agree with everything Snyder's done, but I don't hate the guy. You know what I mean? I still go to the games. But at the same time, that is the reason. We are a proud fan base. We'll always be a proud fan base. I go everywhere in the nation when we go on trips, and like everyone's asking me about the Redskins, talking about the Redskins. As soon as they find out I'm in D.C., I'm in sports, they want to know what's up with the Redskins. That's the first question I get. Everywhere I go, we got a ton of fans. We got a ton of buzz. The biggest problem has been the owner for these last few years, at least from a lot of fans' perspectives. And it looked like against the Texans, you know, the team calling out the fan base, you know, we responded as a fan base. And that should let you know right there how proud we are. When our team asks us to come out, we show up. You know, the owner's been doing a whole bunch of different type of marketing things to get people to show up. And people kind of been showing up, but not really. As soon as the team asks us to show up, we're there. And to me, that's the mark of a proud fan base. You know what I mean? So, hell to the Redskins, you know?
Yeah, dude. Hey, I agree with you, man, because when that happened, I did a little research, and I asked a couple fans, you know, like, hey, what are the reasons that you guys aren't coming to the game? And overwhelmingly, like, I thought I didn't even finish writing what I wanted to write about it because it was so overwhelming that people weren't going because of management. I had multiple people, probably the majority of the people that I asked, tell me, I don't want to support Dan Snyder. I had one season ticket holder say that she had season tickets when Gibbs came back. Then after Gibbs and all that happened, she just didn't want to support Dan Snyder. She didn't want to give Dan Snyder her money. That is her direct quote. She said, you can quote me on that. I didn't want to give my money to Dan Snyder. And, yeah, so you're 100% nail on the head on that one, man. Like, it's not the players. It's not the up and downness of the team. It's not even the $50 parking, which a lot of people complain about also. It's giving the money to the management. People have an issue with the management. But like you said, man, Josh Norman said something, gave out some tickets, and everybody showed up and showed out. So hell to the Redskins, man. We know the culture of this team and this fan base. That's why we bring you guys this podcast, man, to show the love and the support that we know is out there.
Free world. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Enough to shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up.